What's going on, everybody? Well, we're back for another video today, and unfortunately I have some really bad news about the 300 gallon. I don't know if you can hear right now, there is water pouring out of my house. You can see it coming out of my bushes here. It is absolutely ridiculous. Well, that's just simply because we're doing a water change on the 300 gallon. That's not what happened. There's nothing wrong with the integrity of the tank itself, only the integrity of some of the fish in here. We're gonna talk about that in just a minute. But if you're new to the channel, a few months ago, I put out a series on this 300 gallon tank that you can see right here, where we fully scaped the tank and we put fish in it, all kinds of things. It's been a fantastic tank, but we got a major issue in this tank with one specific type of fish, and that fish is this little white skirt tetra. This thing is a terrorist, and I'm gonna tell you why in just a minute. But before we get into that, make sure you subscribe, make sure you turn on your notification bell, and make sure that you check out thecsbrand.com, because all the plants you're gonna see in the video today are available at thecsbrand.com, so make sure you go pick up some plants for your planted aquarium. So before we get into the video, let's go back to when we started this build, and let's talk about why we chose the fish that we did, and why these little freaking things right here are terrorists. We started out video number one where we upgraded the filtration on this. As you can see here, it used to have this tall trash can type sump filtration that we had built for it. We went with a more lower profile sump system just to make it easier to maintain. And then we went out and we picked up all of our driftwood and all of our hardscape materials and started putting together this crazy looking scape, and the scape turned out fantastic. And then we started stocking this thing with fish. So we started with some angelfish and some bloodfin tetras, and I just want to say thanks to everybody that commented on our last videos giving us ideas. Well, now we know we picked these guys up just simply because we asked for recommendations of what were some good community fish. And just like you, we truly thought these were going to be good community fish, but they weren't. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute, but first I really want to clean out this tank and do a little bit of maintenance because I got some hair algae in this tank. I need to get some Amano shrimp and things like that, something that's going to eat this string algae. So if you have other recommendations other than Amano shrimp, please make sure you go ahead and leave those down below in the comments. But let's go ahead and do a little bit of maintenance on this tank, and we'll get back to the fish and what we're putting in here. What we have here is just a 5 gallon bucket with a little bit of the tank water sitting in it, and what we're gonna do with this, we're gonna put this here because what we wanna do is get all this hornwort out of here that's in the top of this tank, because like I said, there is some green hair algae that is in here, and the green hair algae really likes to stick to this hornwort, which actually makes it a pretty beneficial plant, honestly, because it has kept this green hair algae under control. I don't have anything in here currently to eat it, such as Amano shrimp, but this hornwort it's just like it attaches to it and sticks to it and stays with it. So when I have an outbreak of hair algae, I just pull all the hornwort out, clean it all off, and we're good to go. So that's what we're gonna do right now. Look at how long that jungle val is. That stuff is crazy. It's completely taken over this tank, but that's fantastic because the type of fish that we're actually gonna be putting in here today, there's gonna need to be hiding spots all over this place to keep them away from the little killers that are in the tank. Now that we have the water drained down enough, I've got the glass all cleaned up. Now what I want to do is go ahead and clean up these plants. So let's get outside and clean these things up real quick. Now that we have all these plants out, what I want to do is start looking through this hornwort and saving any pieces that are not fully just encrusted with hair algae. So this is a pretty simple process. Anything that's got hair algae on it just goes away. Now the great thing about hornwort is this stuff, like this little piece right here, this will completely repopulate that entire tank within just a matter of a couple of months. This stuff grows fantastic. So out of all of that hornwort that I took out, this is about what's going to go back in here. All that's not going is that right there, which is about, I don't know, probably a half of it. So let's get this back into the tank. So here's all of our hornwort. It's already starting to make its way around the tank just simply because of the wave maker that's in here. So we'll let this stuff, I'm just trying to spread it out so it can flow around on its own. But this stuff will do just fine. So what we want to do is go ahead and get this thing filled back up, and then let's talk about what went on with these fish. Now you didn't see that, but when I put my Python hose in here, I actually tie it around the brace up here. And the reason is because anybody that's lost a Python hose while they're filling up their tank knows what I'm talking about. But this thing could squirt out of here, and then the next thing you know, I got hundreds of gallons of water on my floor. Well, and I'm not about that life. So let's get this thing filled back up. So what we're gonna be using to treat this tank today is some of API's new Aqua Essential product. And this stuff is fantastic. First off, it's an all-in-one concentrated aquarium water conditioner because it will take out all the chlorines, the chloramines. It will also detoxify the nitrates, the nitrites, as well as the ammonia, which makes it fantastic. And it has a very, very small dosage, which is great because this is a 300-gallon tank and it takes a lot of product to keep this thing maintained. Okay, well, while this is filling back up with water, let's go have a conversation about these fish. Just like with any living creature, they can become territorial and aggressive. And I am assuming that's what happened with these white skirt tetras. One of them must have become aggressive, or a couple became aggressive within the school, and then all the rest just followed suit. Essentially what happened was we had 10 on the smaller side of angelfish in this tank, about 50 neon tetras and some rummy nose tetras. And I slowly started seeing that the rummy nose and the neon tetras were dwindling in numbers. And I was trying to figure out whether or not that was just from them being lost to the overflow into the sump filtration system, whether they were being eaten by something or something of that nature. Well, while I was investigating that, then I started noticing that an angelfish had died. And the first one had died, and I thought, okay, it must have just been, you know, a bad batch of angelfish or whatever. I mean, there is attrition that occurs due to the breeding practices and things of that nature. So I didn't think much of it. I removed it from the tank and went on. Well, then the next day, another one was dead, and I couldn't figure out why. I tested all the water parameters, everything was good, everything was fine, and I just couldn't figure it out. Well, then the next day, a third one was dead, and I was like, okay, something's going on. So I went ahead and put a camera on the tank at night, and I went back through and watched through the footage the next day. And I'm gonna tell you now, these little white skirt tetras are the devil's spawn. They literally corralled around the angelfish as they were swimming, would break one of the angelfish off and take it off into a part of the tank that the other angelfish were not, and would attack it, fin nip it, and just attack it. Then all of a sudden the angelfish disappears out of frame, and then 2 hours later I'd find it dead. So at that point, I decided I had to get these fish separated. So I removed all the angelfish, all the remaining tetras, and left only the white skirt tetra. Now, I have put the neon tetras in other tanks. I've put the rummy nose tetras in other tanks. The smaller angelfish I've actually taken back to the store for someone else to enjoy and have replaced them with larger angelfish. So today, instead of going in here with 10 angelfish, we have moved one of our larger angelfish from our 100-gallon tank into this 300-gallon tank, and we went ahead and picked up 3 more angelfish about that size because they'll be able to fend for themselves. We also went ahead and picked up some other fish that we're going to talk about in a minute. But before we do that, let's talk about these white skirt tetras. Everybody recommended them. Everything I read in research said that they were non-aggressive, that they had a communal temperament, meaning they could be fine within a community tank. Well, I'm here to tell you, don't always believe that. You have to keep an eye on your fish and make sure that they're not killing each other, because they will in some situations, just like in my situation. You research online and it tells you can put these things with pretty much anything. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's not always the case. Make sure you pay attention to your fish. Make sure you watch them within the first few weeks to make sure that they aren't getting territorial, and do whatever is necessary to keep all of your fish safe. So that's what we're doing today, is we've made sure we've kept all the fish safe. We've separated them all. We're gonna leave these white skirt tetras in here. We're gonna add some new fish to it, but let's get back to the tank and see where we're at with filling up with the water, and hopefully I didn't flood my living room while I was filming. If you look right up there, we do have an angelfish already in here that came out of our 100-gallon tank. He's been in here for about a week now. He's doing fantastic. Now, the only fish that did not get attacked by these white skirt tetras, and I'm assuming because they're kind of elusive, and that is these German blue rams. So we still have 3 German blue rams in here, and they're doing really, really well. We also went ahead and added, and I know I wanted to keep a South American style to this tank, but we had one larger bala shark in our 100-gallon, and you can see him right up in there. And we moved him in here. He's doing well, but we went and added him a couple of friends. You can see a bala shark back there, and I really like the bala shark. There's one there, and then we have another one in here as well. People had told me that I really needed to get multiple, so I picked up multiple. Oh, there's the other one right up in there. And because of all of this flowing jungle val, there's plenty of places for these guys to hide and stay safe. So we're gonna go ahead and give this a go again. Here's that guy right there. We're gonna see how this turns out. So let's talk about what fish we picked up for this tank today. Oh, there's our angelfish, look at him. And he's super personable. Like if you look here, he's just, I mean, he probably thinks it's food, but he has always been super personable. He is the fish that our logo was made after. So if you want to pick up some angelfish Christopher Scott merch or plants such as jungle val or Java fern or Amazon swords or anything like that, make sure you check out the csbrand.com. But now that we have all this in here, let's go ahead and get the pump turned back on and talk about what fish we're going to put in here. Let's start with, we have a couple of small little rubber lip plecos. They're going to do good on cleaning up some of the mess that's in here. I don't really have a great cleanup crew in here, so they'll do really, really good at that. Now the water in this tank and the water in this bag is pretty much the same temperature, so we don't have to temperature acclimate them. I'm just floating him here for just a second. Then we're gonna get the bags open and we'll start drip acclimating. The next are some red-eye tetras. Now you're probably thinking, well, Chris, if they ate all the neon tetras, why are you putting other small tetras in here? Well, I'll tell you in just a minute. So we're gonna go ahead and put these guys in here and we're gonna see how they do. We're also gonna be adding some red and blue Colombian tetras. And these things are more on the kind of like the white skirt tetras in the fact that if they're gonna have a temper, they're gonna have a temper. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add these in hopes that these guys keep the white skirts under control and the white skirts keep them under control. They'll keep each other occupied, which will keep their minds off of all of the other fish. And as you can see, they're already starting to look at them like they're gonna beat them up. So we'll see what happens with this as well. And finally, we're gonna add some more larger angelfish, which will give us a total of 4 angelfish in here, 3 more including this guy, so he'll have some friends, and maybe we'll get some babies out of them. You never know. They've all been opened up and they are just sitting in the bags, and I'm slowly just adding some water to the bag just by dipping it in, adding a little extra water to it, pulling it out, hanging it over the side, and we'll continue to do that until we get these guys fully acclimated. And I don't know if you heard that, but if it's in the video, then you would have heard it on screen, but that was one of my little button quail chirping because he's probably hungry. So we're gonna use a distraction method to get these fish in here. And what I'm gonna start by doing to distract them is I'm gonna take some of this wonderful tropical fish flake from API, and I'm gonna drop that stuff over here into the water. And what's gonna happen is all these fish are gonna start making their way over there. And while the majority of them, with the exception of the angelfish, is not paying attention, I'm gonna go ahead and dump these 2 little rubber lip plecos right into the water here and watch these guys go. There goes one, and there goes the second one. And there they are. And if you notice, our big old angelfish here is trying to eat them, and he's not going to, which is fine. Now that all the fish are down there eating their wonderful API tropical fish food, we're gonna go ahead and get all of these red-eye tetras in here as well. And here they go. And if you notice, nobody is messing with them, and they're just going over to eat just like the rest of them. I have never kept red-eye tetras, but these things are amazing. Like the eyes, like they glow in the light. It's kind of cool. Perfect. And now that everybody's still preoccupied, I'm gonna let the meanest of the bunch out, and that's these Colombian tetras. And they are now going crazy for this API food. So everybody seems to be coexisting just fine because there's food involved, which is fantastic. We're gonna move back down to this side of the tank where our angelfish currently is, and I wanna introduce him to his new friends. And there are 2 of our angelfish. Oh, and there's our big old bala shark right there. He's come out to eat. And there are 2 angelfish out, so they're all doing good. Let's get the 3rd one in here and see what he thinks about him. And there he goes. Oh, these 2 down here are looking at each other. Our original angelfish here in the middle, right here, he's kind of checking them out to see what it's like. Well, they seem to like each other. I don't know where the 3rd one is that I put in there. He's somewhere back there. No, he's back in the back over like right over here, but they'll group up, and I am so much happier with the larger angelfish, and I also think that they won't be attacked like the smaller ones were. And I think just for a little more sense of community, we're gonna go ahead and add a little more of this API tropical fish flake in here and see what happens. Everybody's coming over to eat. Oh, and look, our 4 angelfish are now up and together. I also believe that these 4 angelfish are large enough that they're not gonna get picked on by anything. As you know, or maybe you don't if you're new to the channel, angelfish are one of my favorite fish, but I feel like we have a sense of community in here finally. We have our red-eye tetras up here, which look fantastic. The red eyes on them is so sick. I never even knew this about these guys, but I love them. I'm so glad I got these. We have our red and blue Colombian tetras, which are super cool as well. And they seem to be getting okay along with these white skirt tetras, which is good because I think it'll keep them under control. And in fact, I saw a white skirt tetra a minute ago chasing one of the red-eye tetras, and the Colombian tetra stopped it and like broke it loose. We have back here in the back, if you can see, there's 2 of our bala sharks. And then we also right back there, you can see them right there. It's one of our blue rams, which looks fantastic. But everything is looking good in here, guys. So I'd really like to know in the comments, what do you guys think about the fish that are now in here? As well as if you were a part of the channel when I put this tank together, what do you think about the jungle val growth? I mean, it is significant in here. I think also like down here, you have one of the Amazon swords that is completely taken over down there. This sword is growing well. All the stuff back in here and the root ball is growing, but everything in here looks fantastic. The water's a little cloudy right now because we just did the water change, and it's also a little dark, and that's just from the tannins from the tree branch that's in here, which is actually on purpose. We don't take any of the tannins out. We don't do any kind of chemical filtration to take the tannins out because we do in fact like them. But if you like the plants and you think the plants look good, make sure you visit thecsbrand.com and pick you some plants up, because I promise you, you won't be disappointed. So with that, make sure you comment below and let me know what you guys think about these fish. I'm hoping more than anything that our angelfish breed. Very hard to sex an angelfish until you actually see them laying eggs. So I have no clue whether these are males or females. But what I will tell you is I do want to see these guys breed. I'd love to breed angelfish at some point, and I probably may actually buy some and just throw them in a tank by themselves so the eggs don't get eaten. So comment below and let me know what you think about these new fish that are in this tank today. Well, with that, guys, hopefully you went on to enjoy this video today. Hopefully you're enjoying the content. If you haven't visited thecsbrand.com to check out the plants and merch, go do that as well. Subscribe, turn on your notification bell, like the video, and comment below what you think about these new fish. And with all that, guys, you know, I'm truly grateful. I really am, really so appreciative. I love all of the support that you guys give the channel. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really am truly grateful for you guys. Without you, I wouldn't be doing this. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.